everybody. Happy New Year. We're here to do a podcast on Encanto because, hey, it's a good movie. With me, I have the usual score members. Jova.
Mm-hmm. Hola.
Pedro.
Hola.
And Shira.
Shamai?
See.
Shira, for this movie should be in Spanish. Just say hola.
Hola.
There you go.
Gracias.
Es hablando es en español,
that's thank you.
señorita.
That's thank you, Dej. But go
Yeah,
on.
I know. So, what's your thoughts on this movie, Pedro?
I love it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's already one of the all-time great Disney classics for reasons that I will explain.
Damn, that hard. What about you, Jova?
I think it's great. I do feel like it's missing a few things to make it amazing, but honestly, we don't need everything to be amazing. That said, no. This is a great and fun film. Do I consider it like the top and utter class of Disney? Not currently. Who knows? Maybe it'll become better in my mind here and there. But no. It's overall still a very good, great film.
Shira?
I loved it.
All right.
Want to go into detail?
All right. Shall we start with
No,
the
I thought you
synopsis?
want to go into detail, Shira?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I
Go
thought
on.
that was for later, since nobody
Yeah.
else went into details, so...
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Alright, I love it. It's a fantastic movie. I saw this movie twice. I was watching it a third time until we had to record. Oops. But yeah, great stuff.
Mm-hmm. This movie is actually the new movie from Brian Howard and Jared Bush, who gave us Zootopia, which goes a long way explaining why it's so great. So, all right. So should we start with the synopsis then?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So here's the synopsis. This is the story of how I died and went to heaven.
wrong movie, Pedro.
And brought on a miracle for my family. You didn't let me finish, Roy.
Oh,
See?
sorry. Didn't realize you were putting your ego out there.
Okay. Why this is the story of how I died, we'll get to it. Okay, so Encanto tells the story of the family Madrigal, a Colombian family living in a place called Encanto, a little community that they have with a lot of people in it. It starts off actually 10 years earlier, before the story begins, with Abuela telling the story of one of their youngest granddaughters at the time, Mirabel Madrigal, about what Encanto is. Basically, this is a community of people because this family was given a miracle. For what reason, we have not been told yet.
Although I will say this, the movie kind of does show you its hand. Not entirely, but pretty much here's essentially this. Tragedy occurred, Pedro had to sacrifice himself, the family now have a new chance of life, and bam, magical house.
See, this is why this is the story of how I died.
Thank you for your sacrifices, Pedro.
You know, on second thought, I don't think we should have invited Pedro on this one.
Hey, look. If it's any consolation, he got reincarnated as a baby mail plane in Saludos Amigos.
I have no idea what that is.
Saludos
It's a
Amigos
Disney
is one
movie.
It's one of the early Disney movies that they made during World War II. Basic one of those that's just a combination of shorts, basically.
It was actually Disney's way of trying to make better relations between America and the more southern region, down around Mexico, South America, and whatnot.
Yes.
It was actually a success, believe it or not.
Okay, so basically, after explaining some basic stuff about how the miracle came into being, which we will elaborate more on at the end of the movie, so let's put a pin on that for now. She tells her about how every single Madrigal gets a gift when they come of age, specifically about 10 years old. They never said the exact age, but when they become like a certain age, basically. And then we see Mirabel about to open her door to get her gift, and after she opens up the door, the movie fades into its title, Encanto, and skips ahead 10 years. Tune in for Mirabel getting ready to wake up everybody, because she's apparently the one that's in charge of that, and we start the first song of the movie, The Family Madrigal, which is one of my favorite songs of the movie. The songs in this movie would actually get into
wait,
us.
Actually, can I interrupt you for a moment?
Go on.
Why is every song in this movie a bop?
Because Lin-Manuel Miranda, Dej.
What they do?
Hamilton and Moana.
Hamilton.
And you're,
I can't escape that thing.
you're more familiar. Well,
No,
Dej, you saw Moana though.
Des. Have you seen Hamilton?
No, but my sister-in-law.
You should see it. It's on Disney
No.
Plus.
She plays the OST on her car every day.
So she has
was
good
like-
taste.
Yeah, it's good.
Well,
but, like hearing it
well,
for the 100th
well, that-
time is like.
Well, Dad, you saw Moana though, so you have a good indicator right there.
Okay.
What can I say except you're welcome? There you go. That was
What
him.
can I say except continue the plot synopsis?
Okay.
Leave the unplay lyrics to me, son. Anyway, go on, Pedro.
The Family Madrigal song, it explains basically exactly what the title implies. It basically goes for all the family members and explains what their powers is, what their abilities is, including even the non-powered up ones.
Pedro, what are you talking about? It's sacrilegious for anyone in the family not to have powers.
I think he means the people who were like married into the
Yeah.
family.
I was talking about Mirabel's father, who is someone who married Julieta, as well as the guy who married Peppa. So they're actually. Go on.
I admit, I was a bit confused when she said that her father did have the power of misfortune. It took me a while to realize that she was actually just joking, because part of me was wondering if you marry in, you also get these abilities. But no, it turns out the people who marry into the family actually don't have powers inherently.
It was a way of giving the father some bit of characterization there, even though it's not important. Just give him something so he stands out from the rest of the people.
Oh, it's fine. It was just something that had me confused for a bit, that's all.
Sure. Yeah, and it continues. So yeah, the song is great. Again, Lin-Manuel Miranda. In fact, Lin-Manuel Miranda kicks things up a notch from Moana. In Moana, we had triple lyrics in "You're Welcome." In this song, we have a quadruple rhyme.
Yep.
So yeah.
Also, one hell of a tongue twister here and there.
Which makes you wonder: can Lin go even further next time he does a song for a Disney movie?
An entire song of it.
Oh, it's interesting you say that, Jirai, because there's that one of my country's most famous books is actually entirely written in one rhyme, actually. So.
Oh, really?
That's
You gotta
interesting.
link that to me.
So,
Anyway,
how about
well-
we list off the family members that are mentioned and will be with us for this movie?
Well, there's a lot. There's Abuela, who's the matriarch of the family. She's actually the one that doesn't have powers as well, but we'll talk more about her later. We have Tia Peppa, who controls the weather. When she gets unhappy, well, the temperature gets weird. We have Mirabel's mother, Julieta, who can heal you with any meal. So basically, she just makes a meal, she feeds you, and you automatically get healed. Great.
Wonderful, isn't it?
We have her older sisters, Isabella and Luisa, who... Isabella is the perfect golden child who can do no wrong.
Ah, so she's a Disney princess. Gotcha.
Isabella, yeah. She's basically meant to be like, what your typical think when you think of, those old school Disney princesses. And we have Luisa,
I think Isabella's powers are flowers, but then they apparently range more. I guess the whole
Poison
thing.
Ivy.
Well,
Creating
okay.
plants.
Wait,
basically.
Jova, have you ever seen Sky High?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that.
Creating
Kind of. Yeah.
Creating plants, basically. That's her main power, and I will explain more when we get to her song. Louisa is super strong, as the lyrics put it, and that's basically her thing. Yes, she helps out the town by carrying things, carrying donkeys, much to Shiroi's bafflement, it seems.
Well, it's not so much that she carries donkeys, it's her song that's a bafflement, but we'll get to that later. That's it.
Yep.
She's probably candidate for my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah, don't spoil.
What? I just said
Don't
she's a
spoil
candidate.
favorite characters.
No, he didn't spoil.
That's a spoiler. Okay.
No,
I just said she's a candidate. I didn't say she is my favorite Didge.
All right. Let's just carry on. Yes. One thing that it is important to mention is one of Abuela's only lyric in the entire song, where she says, "We swear to always help those around us." and earn the miracle that somehow found us. And every generation must keep the miracle burning. Keep that lyric from Abuela in mind because it's foreshadowing for later.
It does also suggest that apparently the town does, in fact, rely on Mirabel's family.
Yeah, basically. So let's just say that's actually foreshadowing for the ending. Well, the final song. Well, not the final song, but the second to last song in the movie. And yeah, so the song is incredibly fun and incredibly well written, which again, no surprise considering who wrote it. And basically the idea is that these 3 kids who are incredibly anxious to know. One thing that I like about it, by the way, is how the entire town kind of treats the Madrigal family as celebrities, you know, and the kids
again, apparently the town relies on them, so of course it treats them as borderline messiahs.
Gods.
They're a magic family.
Yeah, so the kids basically really want to know everything about the Madrigals, and that's basically the excuse for the song, and Mirabel, of course, explains everything. And then later, after she finishes talking about everybody, all of the individual gifts, the kids, of course, get curious. But what about your gift?
Pedro, what about Bruno?
We don't talk about Bruno.
But you didn't talk about Dolores either.
We don't talk about Bruno, no, Shiroi.
I said Dolores.
True, yeah, and she can hear you on that.
Yeah, she heard you talking shit.
But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, her cousin Dolores can hear a pin drop. Antonio, the youngest right now, he's gonna get his gift later tonight. We'll get to it.
And then we also forgot Camilo the Shapeshifter.
Oh yeah, Camilo the Shapeshifter. Yes.
Wait a minute. Is that his name a pun?
Is it?
Camilo.
Get it? Because it sounds like chameleon.
I guess it is possible. Yeah, but Camilo is an actual name.
But just how he can shapeshift.
Sure. It is possible.
It could be both. Yeah.
I do have some words on Camilo later, but I'll save that for later. For now, yeah, the song is complete, but the kids ask, what about her Mirabel's powers?
Problem is, Mirabel never intended for the song to get autobiographical, so she kind of starts avoiding the question and starts recapping the song from the beginning, and in a vain attempt to try to distract the kids from asking what her gift is. And then Abuela suddenly, Mirabel, what are you doing? Oh, they were just asking things about the family, and then Mirabel didn't get one.
I love how the grandma just says it so nonchalantly to
well, actually, well, to be fair, it's Dolores who says it.
Well, true, yeah, Dolores says it. Still, though, damn.
She does have a gift. It's being in denial.
Yeah, the kids even, but don't you worry, kids. You know, gift or no gift, I'm just as special as the rest of my family. And then we see all of them do all their amazing abilities, and then the little girl's like, maybe your gift is being in denial.
Yeah, why are these kids so mean?
I'll be honest. I kind of thought that her gift was gonna be that she's good with kids, honestly.
Well, she is, not just with kids, though.
But remember, Pedro, the house didn't acknowledge her as such, so that means it's not her special gift.
We'll get to it. Yeah, so the basic point is, they get back home, and now it's time for everybody to get ready for Antonio's ceremony, where he's going to get his gift later tonight. Mirabel is trying her best to help, even though she doesn't have any powers, by preparing everything, by putting all the decorations and all that stuff. And Abuela
even the house is trying to help too.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and Abuela, unfortunately, she can be a bit clumsy sometimes, and she even accidentally burns Abuela's name decoration thingy. And Abuela says, "Look, Mirabel, I know you want to help, and I appreciate it, but I feel like some of us need to help by just staying out of the way." You know, which of course leaves Mirabel a bit disappointed because she really wants to demonstrate that she can be helpful. In the meantime, Peppa can't find her son Antonio, who's of course the kid getting the gift. So where could Antonio be? So it turns out Mirabel goes to her room and she turns out, she finds out that Antonio is under her bed. And we have a really sweet scene of Antonio being very fearful that because remember, this is going to be the first time someone is going to get a gift after Mirabel's ceremony to get a gift supposedly failed, but we have yet to see the specifics of it.
And it turns out, due to that reason, apparently she's been stuck in what's considered the nursery room, along with Antonio.
It's because each individual door that they open for the gift also becomes their room. As a result, she doesn't have a room. So,
and they couldn't just figure to build her one. Like, I know Casita is a living building and all that, but surely the house wouldn't have minded if they made a room for her.
So what you're saying, Job, is that the house needs a new foundation?
Well, it's weird because despite Casita denying her room, Casita is still very friendly with Mirabel. Yeah. Oh yeah, and by the way, Casita is what they call the house.
It means little house in Spanish.
Which is weird because that is not a little house. Like, and mind you, that's not even counting the magical elements. That house looks like a mansion.
I can explain that. See, that's because usually when you have casita or casinha, as it is in Portuguese, it's a way of treating it affectionately. It's kind of like an affectionate nickname. Like, for example, like little, like when you want to call to your little brother called John, you call him Little John. You know, like in an affectionate way, not to refer to his size, but just to call, like affectionately refer to him. That's basically the Latino way of doing it. Basically, it's an affectionate way of referring to the house. Basically,
fair enough.
Okay, that's why I wanted to be in this because I actually do know some these little bits. So yeah, Antonio is very fearful that maybe the ceremony won't work for me either. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? But of course, Mirabel doesn't believe that for 1 second. Don't worry. You're going to get in there, you're going to get your gift, and it's going to be the most super special, awesome gift ever. But what if it doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, you can just stay here in the nursery with me, and I can keep you forever. It's a very sweet scene that showcases what will be Mirabel's defining character trait throughout the entire film. She even gives him a tiger plushie for him to cuddle with. Aw.
That's nice.
So yeah, the ceremony comes up. And yeah, everybody's ready for Antonio, but Antonio is a bit too nervous. Oh, and by the way, while they're preparing for the ceremony, one of the songs in the credits, "Colombia mi encanto," which means "Colombia, my darling" or "my wonder" or something like insert affectionate word here. It's basically a song that is written and performed by an actual Colombian famous singer. So nice. So yeah. Antonio is nervous because like he can't really. He's supposed to go in there and open up the door himself, but he's too nervous. So he reaches out his hand to Mirabel. Mirabel's like, "I can't, but I need you." So yeah, Mirabel holds his hand and helps him get to the door. And while this is going on, we see a flashback of Mirabel where we actually see what happens when she tried to open the door as a child. And the door just disappeared. And
sorry.
And the entire family stands there confused because this has never happened before, so they don't know what to do.
That's the thing. Like, the door's right before Mirabel, and then it just sizzles down like denied.
Mm-hmm.
It just disintegrates in front of her little child eyes.
Yes.
And you'd think Abuela would be comforting to Mirabel after this, but if the movie's anything to go by, she is anything but comforting to Mirabel. In fact, if anything, she's like 1 foot away from practically kicking her out of the house, it seems.
She just like me.
Okay. To be fair, for as flawed as Abuela is during most of the movie, to be fair, I don't really get the feeling of her wanting to kick Mirabel out necessarily. At least not at the beginning. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, to be honest with you. But again, we'll deal with Abuela later. So yeah, that's okay. But it's okay though, because when Antonio opens up his door, he does need to get a gift, and his gift is talking to animals. In fact, the first ever animal that he talks to is a toucan voiced by Aaand Tudyk. Yes, the John Ratzenberger of Disney Animation Studios returns, this time as a toucan. And I would like to mention this. Okay, after being Hey Hey, the chicken from Moana, at this point, Aaand Tudyk is basically the new Frank Welker. Like seriously, he's great at animal noises. So
Okay,
yeah,
I need to hear him do a Scooby-Doo impression and Megatron.
True,
and
yeah.
Then we'll talk.
True, yeah, because, like, you can't be the next Frank Welker without doing Scooby-Doo and Megatron.
and I guess Freddy from Scooby-Doo as well, since he's from Frank as Freddy in Scooby-Doo.
You know, despite what the Scooby-Doo movie would have you believe. And by that, I'm talking about the Scoob one.
Well, that's a podcast for another day.
Oh,
Yeah,
God, we're actually doing a podcast on that terrible movie?
Whatever. We're
We're talking about a good movie now. Let's stay in the lane on this one.
Stay focused. So, we enter into Antonio's room, and it's this big wild jungle full of animals. Boy, my mom would love to have this gift.
Yeah, honestly, I'll just say this may be one of those houses that you could potentially die in.
Nah, the house will protect you.
We'll get to it.
I don't know, Dez. There's that. Well, we'll get to that scene later.
Yeah. So basically, Antonio gets his gift, and they even take a picture with her. And in the meantime, of course, Mirabel.
But of course, Mirabel's left out of the picture. Like, damn.
They forget about her. But Mirabel feels a bit left out, of course, because for obvious reasons, and she has her own kind of reprise version of the Family Madrigal song, where it's actually called "Waiting for a Miracle," and it's basically her "I Want" song. Basically.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the party song actually that precedes this. It's done completely in the native language.
I did. Colombia Mi Encanto.
Did you mention that song?
I did. Well. Okay. Right before I talked about Antonio getting hands with Mirabel, but anyway, Waiting for a Miracle is also pretty great. In fact, Stephanie Beatriz is awesome. She's actually the only one of the main cast who's not of Colombian descent. She's Argentinian, but close enough, I guess. Still South American, so I guess it works.
It's like Antonio Banderas playing a Mexican when he's really Spanish in Mask of Zorro. It's just,
It worked. It close enough, basically. I mean, there's only so many Colombians you can get that are good for the part, I guess. So yeah.
Again, it's good to have somebody of that descent, but it's also good to have them, be a good actor too.
Sure. So Stephanie Beatriz is great, and after her song, she notices something horrible. Oh, the house suddenly is falling apart. Yeah, a lot of cracks show up, and of course, Mirabel, in a panic, goes to inform Abuela of what's happening. Abuela goes and check. Okay, show me. So to her credit, she doesn't immediately brush her off. She actually does take her warning seriously, so she goes to see. When they get back, suddenly there's no cracks.
Okay, I'll admit, I was a bit annoyed that it went with the typical, of course the thing that the protagonist sees disappears when everybody comes out, so they won't believe her afterwards.
I actually have a theory about why the cracks healed in between, but I can't go into it without getting into spoilers for the ending, so I'll...
this is a spoiler cast, though.
Well, yeah, but I want to get to it in time, when the time is right. The point is, yes, Abuela, even though she clearly looks distressed, she still deflects by saying, "Nothing's wrong, everybody. The party will continue, and there's drinks."
And of course, she scolds Mirabel, suggesting that she actually wanted to ruin things for Antonio out of jealousy.
We'll continue with that. So yeah, Mirabel, of course, she hasn't had the best day, obviously. However, Julieta, her mom, does try to, be supportive and console her, and she even heals her scratch with an arepa, which is a traditional Colombian pastry. So what now? So basically, Mirabel goes to, go lie down, sleep. Maybe tomorrow will be a better day. But then, as she continues to be absolutely bothered by what she saw, she decides to once again investigate and roam around the house. In fact, she even goes up to the roof. And when she does, she actually notices Abuela coming into the window of her room. And she has her late husband Pedro's picture in there. And she says, and I quote, "Pedro, I don't know what to do. Help me. Our
Help her, Pedro, what are you doing? Help your wife.
I would, but I died.
Yeah,
So-
that's not an excuse.
So the interesting thing is that this seems to suggest that she actually does know that the house
Yes.
is in danger, but is denying it.
Not just suggest. It's abundantly clear that she knows that our miracle is fading, and I don't know what to do. Please tell me what to do. Which again, so it demonstrates that Abuela is actually aware of what's going on, but yeah, she's clearly for some reason she's trying her best to not admit it and flat out deny it. So we'll have to see how exactly and why. So yeah, in the next day, Mirabelle is still incredibly bothered because now that she has full confirmation that she didn't imagine the whole thing, she wants desperately to find out what exactly has happened. So she needs to save the miracle. Here's the problem.
And wait. Can I mention something here? I love how the movie is setting it up like it's going to be a big epic adventure, which, some of the trailers, I wouldn't say that they were trying to fool us, but a lot of the trailers did seem to suggest a big adventure here. So right before she's about to step out the door, she realizes, I have no idea what to do. Even the house doesn't know what to do, as it shows via shrugging.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I actually really like about this movie, because most of Pixar's movies and even Disney animation movies ever since most of the Pixar movies are already like that from the beginning, but ever since John Lasseter back in 2006 took over Disney Animation Studios as the creative head, even Disney Animation started incorporating the Pixar formula, aka that traditional formula of 2 or more characters who don't get along at the beginning, and then they get thrown out of their natural element and have to go through some kind of journey where they learn some kind of valuable lesson. Again, the formula that was introduced in Toy Story 1, So most Pixar movies, like even the most recent Soul, uses that formula. So yeah, the Pixar formula has always been very prevalent, even in Disney animated films of late. So it is refreshing to see a movie that doesn't follow the Pixar formula, just for the sake of variety.
Believe it or not, the majority of this movie does in fact take place in the house, essentially. And is more or less between the family. Again, I was kind of expecting a bit of a big epic, especially given off of some details in the initial song, which I won't go into details in until we come across a certain character, let's just say.
Yes, that's actually one thing that I really admire this movie for, because not every movie needs to be a big epic adventure, and this movie focuses strictly on more personal conflict that doesn't require any kind of epic adventure to go along with it. So I actually do applaud the movie for doing that.
It's kind of like how I feel about this movie as a whole. I feel like it's great. I'm not quite sure I'd call it one of Disney's best, but you know what? Not everything needs to be the absolute best of the best or constantly trying to top everything. Like, I feel like sometimes there is true success in just being a great movie in and of itself, well within its comfort level, but because of that, it can excel at what it is trying to do, essentially. It's weird how by not trying to be the most amazing thing ever, you excel and are, well, more or less a guaranteed success. Some could argue it's maybe playing it safe, but in this case I'd say it was them probably, again, playing things to their strengths. Essentially, since this movie works wonderfully as a cultural heritage masterpiece towards the Colombian region.
Yeah, plenty of Colombian. I've seen plenty of Colombians on the internet talk right about how they implement a specific part of Colombian history in the movie, but we'll get to it. The basic point is, yes, we need to save the miracle. Here's the problem. We don't know how to save a miracle, and Casita doesn't know either. So what to do? Well, fortunately, we have a cousin called Dolores who hears pretty much everything, so maybe she would know. After having an intercation where Camilo is being rambunctious and impersonating as Dolores and tricks Mirabelle, we do actually talk to the real Dolores, which says that, well, I sometimes hear Louisa being bothered, so I think you should focus on Louisa. So she goes meet Louisa, aka her older sister, aka the one who's super strong. And the problem is that Louisa, for some reason, has an eye twitch. That clearly, if you know anything about psychology, you'll know that that's a sign that you're nervous. So what could possibly be bothering Louisa? Jovi, you want to take this one?
You could say that she's under some surface pressure, eh?
Exactly. So yeah, Mirabelle asks her what... Mirabelle asks her what exactly is bothering her, and she kind of snaps. Oh, I'm sorry. She snaps at Mirabelle. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know where that came from. And so after some convincing, Louisa tells Mirabelle what's going on with her.
Are we totally going to skip the fact that she literally broke into song and dance complete with weird...
I was about to get to that. So Louisa decides to tell Mirabelle exactly what's happening with her. In song. Enter Suffers Pressure. Suffers Pressure is probably the most it's probably the most energetic of the songs in the movie. And yeah, it's a really great song indeed, and some great choreography on the by the way.
Could have done without the weird dancing donkeys though.
Again, what Lynn does great with these songs, the individual character songs, is perfectly demonstrate what the characters are feeling through the lyrics. Specifically, in the case of Louisa, she feels the pressure of being the strong one of the family, and the fact that she feels like, and as a result, she feels like she has to carry all of her family's burdens. She literally says in the song, "Any burden you have, just tell me, and I will carry it for you." Which, well, that's not exactly a healthy thing to do. However, Mirabelle, being the nice person that she is, when she realizes this, she hugs her and tells, "Look, I think you're carrying way too much. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I exaggerate." So yeah, clearly it seems like there's some kind. But yeah, and then of course Louisa says, "Look, if you want to know where to look for, you need to look for Bruno's tower." So yeah, so she recommends her to go to Bruno's tower, since he's the one who because she was actually the one who heard the grown-ups talk about Bruno back in the day when she didn't get her gift. So yeah, let's go to Bruno's tower. We'll get to Bruno later. So when we get to Bruno's tower, wow. That's a lot of stairs.
Remember how I mentioned that this house can kill you? This is where that comes into play, because Mirabelle nearly meets her death several times in Bruno's room. Though honestly, one has to wonder why the heck the house even made it this creepy and dangerous for him.
Yeah.
I get the impression it wasn't originally like that.
I have to mention, there's a really funny joke when she starts climbing the stairs. "Welcome to the family Madrigal. There's so many stairs in the Casa Madrigal. You think there would be a faster way because we're magic, but no." And then she starts getting more and more tired from climbing. She literally goes, "Bruno, your room is the worst."
Honestly, I agree with her. You have this magic family, and yet you couldn't do anything about the stairs.
Although one is to wonder about the time dates of this when this movie takes place in, because weirdly enough, we do get references to stuff including television and whatnot later on in the film, but I don't think we see anyone with an actual TV. I mean, again, it's like a small bit, but I did kind of find myself wondering when exactly the movie takes place.
The sad part is that based on a flashback we're gonna get later, it can't even take place in today's day and age. But I'll go into more detail when we get to it.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, Mirabelle eventually managed to climb the tower, and Aaand Tudyk. Whereas Dwebs nicknamed him when we were talking about this movie, Alan Tukin. We'll nickname him Alan Tukin from now on. Alan Tukin.
Wow, you actually laughed at a Dwebs pun, Dez. First time for everything.
Alan doesn't listen to this.
Alan Tukin leaves, and as Mirabelle puts it very well, quitter.
Well, gee, I mean, can you blame the bird after how spooky the whole room really does become?
He can fly.
Yeah, okay, so he flies right the heck out of there.
So yeah, when she enters the proper Bruno room, she finds a little puzzle consisting of green glass pieces. And she starts putting them together, and as she starts doing it, the candle of the miracle starts burning differently. So what could this mean? So yeah, eventually the tower starts shaking, which of course prompts Mirabelle to just leave the fuck, while at the same time still carrying all the puzzle pieces so she can put them all together later. And yeah, Abuela manages to catch her, fortunately not in time to notice where she's been, but she asks her what she's doing. And as she's doing this, Louisa comes in and she says, and I quote, "I was trying to pick up these donkeys and I felt weak." Oh my god, Louisa's feeling weaker. which of course means that, again, what we suspected is true. The magic is fading. And Abuela, noticeably way more nervous after Luisa's revelation, asks Mirabel to just not talk to her anymore until Abuela can then maybe have a talk with her later. So Abuela goes on and tries to go and do her things. But, in the meantime, Mirabel decides to go back.
The assumption is there that it's Mirabel's fault that this happened.
Well, Shiroi, the sad part is that it's not like there isn't a reason, at least forgot the first half of the movie, that Mirabel has some blame in things, to be fair. We find out...
Honestly,
right now, at least.
I wouldn't...
Right. Go on.
Okay, even knowing that stuff, I wouldn't even say that it's really that reasonable that the blame was placed on her, given how, well, she pretty much states herself that it's pretty unclear. Like, now maybe if it was clear set to be her fault, then I get it, but no, in fact, if anything, there was room to suggest that
we'll
the very
get
opposite
into that
would be
later.
It also doesn't, sit well because we know at this point Abuela knows that something is already wrong. So
this is also by the fact that, Abuela... Okay, remember, Mirabel was the one who first tried to suggest that something was wrong with the house. Abuela knew something was wrong with the house, but she denied it. And then we later go on to blame Mirabel for what's going on with the house. Kind of some backwards thinking there. But again, we'll touch more base on that later. Back to you, Pedro.
Yes. So Mirabel goes back to the nursery and tries to put up the piece. However, just before she can take the puzzle pieces out of her bag, Tia Peppa comes in, and of course, being the nervous wreck that she is, she has a cloud right top of her head. And her husband even comes in, and they talk about... And then Mirabel asks, can I ask about Uncle Bruno and why he left? And of course, Peppa says, we don't talk about Bruno. I know, but what if we did talk about Bruno? What would it be like? So eventually, and this is where we come into another great song. We don't talk about Bruno. So yes, we have an entire song explaining why we don't talk about Bruno. The basic point of it is that Bruno apparently was a very mischievous guy with even an evil grin and everything, who always predicted the future. And every time he predicted something bad will happen. He would predict, one of the villagers even says, he predicted that my goldfish would die, and the next day, there he is, dead.
It's almost like goldfish have a very short lifespan.
Yeah. So the song... So everybody was... everyone was very afraid of Bruno because they saw him as kind of a bringer of bad omens, basically. In the meantime, while we also see during the song Mirabel finally putting the puzzle together, and when she does, it shows Mirabel with a broken house behind her.
But then also it changes to Mirabel with a fixed house behind her.
Well, that's technically we only see that bit later when a certain person moves the piece around Jova, but yeah, we'll get to it. In the meantime, after she does this, her father comes in, and she says, and I quote, I broke into Bruno's tower, I found his last vision, the family's in trouble, the magic is dying, the house is breaking, Luisa's gift is fading, I think it's all because of me. And the father looks at the completed puzzle, and goes, and I quote, we say nothing. We will not say anything. The magic is not dying. Your sister is fine, and because your grandma wants everything to go perfectly. Because while at the same time that this is going on, Isabella has been proposed in marriage, and of course
to Markiplier,
which of course would allow the family's legacy to continue. So it is a very important ceremony. So we need to keep this away from everybody until after the ceremony.
And yet, he brings it to the dinner table, where I'm sure hijinks won't ensue at all.
And it doesn't help that Dolores heard it. Everything.
Yes, because Dolores can hear a pin drop, as we see, because she has super hearing, basically.
God, during that dinner table, can we just talk about how extremely expressive this movie is? Like, all these faces.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The animation of this movie is fantastic. Like, one of my favorite... One of the bits that I've noticed...
I expect nothing less of Disney. Like, they may have their quirks in there, but more often than that, that has kind of been Disney's strong suit for Gosh, I think since their start in animation.
It's just looking at Mirabelle's face when she's staring at Dolores. It's like
Yeah, it's so the expressions are hilarious. Yeah. Again, it's great character animation in here.
I suppose now's a good point for me to bring up something. So they pretty much point out that all the powers of the families are meant to help with society. So, that's all fine and well. Obviously, whether it would help with the crops.
With great power comes great responsibility, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. One thing I do have to wonder, though. How does Camilo's power help with society?
Simple. When you're first introduced to him, he helps take care of a baby because the mom was too tired.
Yeah, during the Family Madrigal song.
Yeah.
I guess there is
basically, he'll just help people fill in their situations if they're unable to do something.
Yep.
Though that kind of would be awkward if it's literally a parent using him to fill in for their kid who's a preteen at that point. Like, I think at that point the kid should just be more familiar with the concept of a babysitter than, literally having a potential fake copy of the parent walking around here.
Or copy the same person and be like, okay, since we're the same height, it'll help. We can put something up.
I suppose now's a good time to mention that one of my critiques of the film is that I feel like some of the family members got a bit utilized, the one most underutilized being Camilo, and I'm apparently not alone in that. Oh, don't get me wrong, great character concept, but he doesn't really get much to do in the movie.
He's just there for visual gags.
Sure.
It's fair, like, there's only so many characters in this movie, and it's 90 minutes. Like over 90 minutes, so you can only do so much.
There's only so much you can do in a 90-minute movie. To be fair, yeah.
I do wonder if maybe they could have cut down on the characters. I mean, again. Like, okay, I'll say this. I feel like Camilla's the only one who absolutely does feel like he's potentially. Well, okay, some do feel wasted, but Camilla's like the only one who feels like, okay, 90% wasted outside of gags here and there. All the other characters at least did feel like they filled something of a narrative purpose, even Dolores, for as niche as super hearing can be, essentially. Camilo, though, sadly not much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
You can tell he's supposed to be the comedy relief character. Which again I'm fine with. Like I said, I can understand that they couldn't give each individual character their own song because that would make the movie overstuffed. So
I guess the issue with the comedy relief angle is he's kind of competing for that because a lot of the other characters like Luisa and heck even Antonio fill some form of the comedy relief as well, especially Augustin.
His mom is more comic relief because of her emotions.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Augustin, about hijinks totally not going to ensue, hijinks ensue at the table.
Yes. Dolores ends up basically spreading the word throughout the entire family that Mirabelle is apparently responsible for the end of the magic, which of course causes the house to start cracking even more, and eventually Isabella's fiance gets hurt because of it. And the party's ruined, so everybody goes home. Abuela tries her best to tell the village, nothing's wrong, please stay calm. And then she closes the door while we can definitely see a big storm cloud above the house. Tia Peppa, calm down.
This isn't helped by the fact that Augustin lets slip the picture of Mirabelle in front of the cracked house, which, really gets things to go from bad to worse. Dresser? I know, right? Like, again, for a guy saying we need to hide this from the family, he literally brought it to the gathering of the family.
To be fair, he did it in a panic and a rush, so he obviously wasn't.
Oh yeah. That's obvious. It's like, that's the point. He wasn't thinking straight. It's like, he's like, you moron.
It is kind of those what an idiot moments, but whatever. It helps the plot along, and look, to be fair, he's not dumb, but he's very accident prone, so maybe we can chalk that up to this.
Yeah, it is actually.
He's very Hugh Neutron, like.
He's very. It fits in with his character as established in the first song. In the meantime, while trying her best to find the problem, she ends up finding Bruno in the walls. Yes, turns out Bruno has never actually left And he's been hidden in the walls, basically. Bruno, by the way, is voiced by John Leguizamo, who is, of course, most well known for being Luigi in the Super Mario Brothers movie. He's actually Colombian-American, so great idea to bringing him in here. Why not?
So
that way he can be in a much better movie.
So I should admit, it did seem at first like the movie was going to do something interesting, possibly setting up Bruno to be the villain of the story. And I could totally see it. A guy who was ostracized by his family, becoming, well, going crazy and whatnot. Nah, he's actually a chill dude. Very chill. It was kind of the other thing I was expecting, that of course everyone was conflating him to be this evil person because, yeah, people tend to get spooked by spooks who tell the future, which is what he was essentially.
Shiroi, which brings up a certain point.
Yes.
Shiroi, when we first watched the movie and you learned what was Bruno's gift, you said that was the worst gift ever. Can you elaborate?
Why would... I think the movie explains it for me.
Yeah. I just wanted to know if, it's just wanted to know if you wanted to say something about it.
Essentially, Bruno's ability is to tell the future. However, only in parts, essentially. And what's worse is that he's kind of compelled to tell people about this. The way his powers work is essentially he gets glimpses which eventually form these little green jewel plates, essentially, which he needs his room in proper shape to tell the full context of. So the issue is that he only gets stuff in parts. He apparently needs a big, wide area to get to see these pictures here and there.
Because of that big tornado of wind that happens when he does it. But, in the meantime, the possibility of Bruno being the villain gets brushed away when we know that he's been secretly patching up the cracks for years at this point, which explains why the cracks were disappeared in between those bits. Apparently, Bruno is a very fast worker. Yeah.
Apparently, no, well, sure, it's not him that does it. It's his friends, the rats, who do it. Apparently.
Oh yeah, he talks to rats.
It's one of them running from Ratatouille.
It's a Disney tradition, like a character who can talk to rats.
And of course, with Bruno, this is the character where I do have to wonder what time date this is, because there's a little joke about him mentioning how he's watching stuff like soap operas and novellas, essentially. Which,
telenovelas is... Sorry, go on.
Which, are... they are stuff that comes from the Colombian region, Spanish-speaking countries and whatnot, too. This unfortunately confused me, though, because... okay, I get it. We're supposed to assume that he's going mad, or this is just his version of it. But the fact is that he literally does name drop stuff like telenovelas, and you kind of need a TV to know what those are.
Yeah, the rats basically pull things for him. Telenovelas is, like Jova said, are basically the way we Latinos call soap operas, basically. But here's the real truth behind Bruno. Yeah, Bruno's proper room where he lives in now is actually right next to the dinner table of the family. And he even has a table where he drew a plate with his name on it.
It's kind of sad.
That was sad.
That is incredible. And as he says, my gift wasn't helping the family, but I still love my family, Bruno...
They just decided to shoot the messenger,
Yeah,
very much so. So much so that the messenger decided, okay, screw this, I've had enough, and left. Except not really. Essentially, the thing that really broke the camel's back was when he told a prediction about Mirabel. However, Abuela took it to mean that Mirabel would be the doom of the house here and there. However, Bruno shows that there's more to the prediction, as me and Pedro hinted at earlier.
Exactly. Basically, in the day that... Here's an interesting thing. Right after, and this is where what Luisa told us before comes into play. Right after what happened with Mirabel, Abuela was incredibly worried about the magic, so she decided to ask Bruno to see the future, to see if he could possibly find an answer to what exactly was happening with the magic. And that's where Bruno had that vision of Mirabel right in front of a cracked house. And Bruno knows from experience that people always assume the worst from his predictions. So he decided to, which is why he decided to break that particular green plate and left the house. So yeah, Bruno actually wasn't expelled from the house. He left of his own accord because he was trying to protect Mirabelle.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's never suggested that he was ejected. What they assume is that he went crazy from seeing a certain prediction and, well, absconded off into the night, essentially.
My basic. The movie doesn't flat out spell it out verbally, but I can imagine what will probably happen. Bruno left in the middle of the night without telling anybody because he didn't want. Again, he was trying to protect Mirabelle because he knew that if he told anybody about this, everybody would immediately assume the worst, and Mirabelle would be in trouble. So he decided to basically sacrifice himself for her. Basically, I can imagine that probably everybody in the family was hurt by him just leaving without telling anybody. So I can understand why they would just decide not to just ignore him because they feel very hurt because he left without even saying anybody. So I can understand that particular position.
Okay, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but was I the only one who kind of was just like the one who went, well, of course, when Abuela, of course, uses this to mean that it's Mirabelle's fault that Bruno left eventually when we get to that certain boiling point. Like, god damn.
Let's just say the woman isn't thinking straight for now. Yeah. So, yeah, Bruno says, sorry, I wish I could have seen more. And Mirabelle, yeah, that is it. You should have seen more. Well, see more. Have another vision. No, see, I don't have visions anymore. Oh, but you could. Look, and so eventually Mirabelle manages to convince them to have another vision because, well, it's better than staying up here. So yeah, Antonio, in the meantime,
he needs a place with a lot of space.
Fortunately, Antonio knows all about this because the rats told him.
Yeah.
So yeah, Antonio decides to give them his room so he can, since his room is big, and decide to have a vision. So at this point, Bruno starts having a vision, and yeah, we do see the same thing we saw, but now we continue in seeing what comes after that bit. So what comes after that bit is apparently we see Mirabelle hugging someone, embracing someone, and that's apparently what saves the magic. What could
Only
that
one
be?
problem.
And that is?
The person she has to hug is Isabella, her insufferable older sister.
Her insufferable little perfect sister who's incredibly cocky and, full of herself, it seems.
And seems to borderline hate Mirabelle at times as well. So, yeah, fun times.
So, yeah. And guess what? Mirabelle gets angry. Oh, can it be somebody else? And Bruno's reaction happens every time. And then he breaks the... See, this is exactly
why I left.
However, there's also the candle glowing brighter with its light, and then the prediction ends with a butterfly.
Yeah, keep that butterfly in mind because that's important. Okay, so after this, Bruno goes back into his walls, and he even says, "Look, when you save the miracle, please come visit. When I save the miracle, I'm bringing you home." So yeah, time to save the family with a hug. Yeah. Okay, so Mirabelle enters Isabella's house, and it's full of flowers since that's her thing. Yeah, she decides to look. I know we've had our differences, but how about we, hug it out? But Isabella is, of course, not in a good mood towards Mirabelle because Mirabelle, from her perspective, kind of destroyed the party where she was supposed to get the proposal. So obviously, Isabella is not exactly in a very talking mood. However, when she gets so angry at Mirabelle to the point where suddenly a cactus suddenly grows in the ground, which of course makes Isabella wow. And her outburst also reveals something that we didn't know about Isabella before. Turns out the reason Isabella is the way she is because she feels incredibly pressured by Abuela to be the perfect golden child, and that's why that's why she hates Mirabelle, because she's jealous of her. Because
and it turns out that she was kind of being.
Unlike Mirabelle, who doesn't have any pressure on her and therefore can just be herself, Isabelle can't be herself. She has to be the perfect child. As dictated to her by her family.
So much so that her family was kind of pressuring her into mirroring the guy.
This is also another thing that I love. This is also another thing that I love about this movie. One of the themes of this movie is that not everybody is what they appear to be. Because two great things about Surface Pressure and now this new song by Isabella, What Can I Do? But these two songs are basically big showpieces for both Isabella and Luisa, in the sense that Luisa seems very strong and not unafraid on the outside, but deep inside she's just as fragile as all of us. Same thing with Isabella. Isabella seems to be, the perfect golden child who can do no wrong, but secretly she hates being that way because she can't be herself, and that's why she's so revolted against the whole world. She, much like Luisa, she's also under incredible surface pressure. So Isabella gets carried away, and she starts growing cactuses all over, and she even decides to change the colors of her clothes because this whole pink, pretty princess thingy is not her thing at all. She far prefers to be kind of rebellious. One detail that I love about this song is how when she really notices that the pressure that Isabella has been through all this time, she genuinely stops being hesitant and hugging her and genuinely starts actually, consoling her and helping her to let herself out. So again, demonstrating that Mirabel always puts her family before herself. So After this, Isabel and Mirabel finally have a lot of fun together, and Isabel even says, "You were a terrible influence." So there you go. Now, in this moment that Isabella gets to be herself, she's much happier and much more willing to be, and they find themselves newfound love for themselves.
And what's this?
Unfortunately,
this is actually helping Casita as the candle does indeed glow brighter.
But when they do hug each other, the candle burns stronger and some of the cracks heal. So it looks like we're on the right track. Unfortunately, Abuela comes in and she notices how much of a mess the house is in right now and how messy her Isabella's clothes are. And this is where Abuela's patience runs thin, and she kind of snaps at Mirabel and blames her for everything. And she even says, and I quote, "Look, I don't know why you were not given a gift, but that is not an excuse to hurt this family." But then Mirabel finally tells her what she needed to hear. "Look, it's not me, it's not us. Look, Luisa can never be strong enough. Isabella will never be perfect enough. This is all your fault. You keep demanding too much from us. Like, nothing we do is ever good enough for you." And when she does this, the house completely starts breaking down.
Well, it's more like what Abuela says that gets the house to crumble. Though, honestly, I do honestly have to wonder. So, Abuela believes that Mirabel is the source of this problem. So my question is, what was she planning to do about that if Mirabel was the problem?
I guess she was just assuming that, okay, it's Mirabel because she has no power, so that's why she doesn't want her to do anything at all, so she won't be able to.
The problem is...
I get that. The physical things escalate. It seems like Abuela's planning to do something about that, and I was kind of wondering, like... I hope you're not planning to actually murder Mirabel. Like, goddamn.
No. I've always taken it as she's in complete denial, and she just thinks that if she just denies and tries her best to hide it, eventually it will go away. Like, she literally is taking this to complete. Basically, Abuela's problem is that she refuses to face the problem head on. She thinks that she just denies it and just ignores it. Eventually, the problem will go away, which is, of course, completely the wrong way to do things, as Mirabel puts it very well. So.
There's kind of some interesting symbolism there. She's secluding herself, sort of like how the entire town is secluded around the mountains that were formed thanks to the magic that happened at the start of the film. In fact, the mountains are so tall that that's apparently part of the reason that Bruno didn't actually leave home, because, well, everyone thought he disappeared off into the mountains, and Bruno's like, "No, I didn't. The mountains are too tall anyway. Might as well just stay home." Yeah,
basically. When after this, the house starts breaking down. Mirabel still tries to save the candle, but it's to no avail. The candle burns out and fades.
And Casita dies.
And Casita dies.
But it's not just that. In addition to Casita crumbling, one of the mountains protecting the Encanto actually splits in two.
Yeah. Casita gets destroyed, and Mirabel, completely distraught, runs away in tears.
She actually goes up the mountains that even Bruno dared not go into.
Indeed. The entire family, however, is searching for her, including Abuela even. Eventually, Abuela does find her near a specific river. And of course, Mirabelle says, "Look, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make you all proud. But at about this time, I've just been trying to be someone I'm not." And then Abuela, and one thing that I also love about this particular bit here is that apparently Abuela, what Mirabelle told Abuela just now, apparently she took it to heart, as she says, and I quote, "I've never been able to get back to this place, this river." And that's when we start my favorite song in the movie, Dos Oruguitas, aka Two Caterpillars. This flashback tells the backstory of Abuela and what exactly happened. Basically, a long time ago, she lived in a typical Colombian village, and she married me. Yes, she married Pedro. Well, yes. I knew you wanted me to say that, so. And this is where when I was watching this in the theater, okay, my jaw didn't drop, but I was genuinely taken aback because one great thing about this flashback is that they were living happily in the village, and they were even going to have triplets, which of course we now know to be Bruno, Pepa, and Julieta. However, yeah, unfortunately there was some violence, some gang violence where houses were being destroyed, and both Pedro and Abuela had to run away, and as well as another group of people who also joined them in a way to run away. What I love about this bit is that it implements real Colombian history, because Colombia, even to this day, from what I've been able to look into, still has a problem with people's displacement, criminal gangs, civil wars, who force people to have to go out to get out of their house and find some kind of safe place to get away from all the violence. So basically, yeah, Abuela and Pedro had to escape from their place they lived, and that's why they get to the river where Abuela and Mirabelle are right now. And yeah, one of those gangs actually managed to catch up to them. So what happens? Pedro decides to sacrifice himself for his family. He tells them to run away and decides to put himself right in front of them. And as he does it, the candle that Abuela is holding becomes magical. And yeah, that's where the miracle comes from. The miracle was a result of Pedro's act of love by sacrificing himself to save his family.
So
there you
I'll
go.
admit, this is a very touching scene. However, there was always something I thought about this ending that felt a little weird. I wasn't able to put my finger on it until I actually had a bit of a talk about this movie with Fallon Arts, and I think I realized what was bugging me about this thing. It's that the sense that, aside from, obviously Pedro's death being a result of this historical event, we kind of more or less already knew what was essentially the big mystery of this movie. That being that Abuela has problems due to the fact that, her husband died, magic was made from that, and she doesn't want to lose it again. Which is what we were told at the beginning. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that the movie is bad for this, but given how the movie does try to build up this big mystery out of everything, only for the answer to essentially be, well, you more or less knew the details, just you needed this extra bit here and there. It's kind of like the unreveal in a sense. Mind you, it is still a very well done scene, and don't let that take away from it. But I'll admit, I do feel like the ending is a bit rushed and kind of a bit uneventful. That doesn't necessarily make it bad, but it is a bit uneventful because essentially, after this, the plot more or less does get solved.
Well, the reason it gets solved is because of what I'm about to say, actually. But yeah, I disagree, because the thing is, we were never told exactly why Abuelo, specifically what caused Abuelo Pedro to have to, give his life for them. But now we know why. The twist basically means what exactly happened, because yeah, she didn't just lose Pedro. She lost her in what was quite possibly the most traumatic way possible, because Pedro died right in front of her. Remember, we see a sword that one of the gangs is holding. Pedro literally got stabbed right in front of her. So it's not just that she lost him in what is quite possibly the most traumatic way possible.
Oh yes, it is. And it's like I said, it's why it doesn't. Okay, it's like, again, I would argue that we more or less do know, but we don't know the exact circumstances around it. But I mentioned, it doesn't take away from it necessarily, but I can get how some people would feel a bit let down by the mystery being essentially, more or less what we guessed. Now, granted, it is great that they did go to these extra lengths here and there. It's just that I can get how some people may have wanted a bit more to the payoff. I honestly think it's fine, but I can sort of see how the ending does feel a bit kind of, well, we more or less already knew that.
I don't know. The basic point is, and this, of course, explains Abuela's perfectionism. Let's think about this from her perspective. After Pedro's sacrifice, she's now responsible for this entire group of people who now look to her for guidance, meaning she has to take a whole lot of responsibility. At the same time, she also wants to protect the miracle because, well, the miracle is the last thing she has from Pedro. It was the result. Pedro died for this. Pedro died to give her this miracle that she can now use, and that's why we saw her say that line in the Family Madrigal song at the beginning of the movie, because she feels like she must earn this miracle. She wants to honor. She thinks that this is the best way of honoring Pedro but as she puts it very well, when she's opening her heart to Mirabel, she was so fixated on she was so desperate not to lose it that she forgot what Pedro's sacrifice was really for, his family. So yeah, it wasn't Mirabel who hurt her family, it was Abuela, as she herself admits it. So yeah, but what's great, this of course turns Abuela into one of my favorite characters in the movie, because it's a great example of how you can create a character who does horrible things, but it's not necessarily that you have to forgive for her actions. But you can understand how she came to be the way she is, the trauma that she went through, the pressure that she was going through. You can understand why she eventually became the way she is. Of course, it doesn't excuse her actions, but you can understand how she came to be the way she is. But of course, Mirabel, being the incredibly empathetic person that she is, tells her exactly what she needs to hear. Look, we were saved because of you. We are a family because of you, and nothing could ever be broken that we can't fix together. Which of course is exactly what she needs to hear. Look, even if our house gets broken, it's okay. As long as we're together, we can fix whatever is broken. And of course, Abuela says one of my favorite lines in the movie. I asked my Pedro for help, Mirabel. He sent me you, which of course kind of demonstrates that Mirabel basically is kind of doing what Pedro is doing. And then it turns out it was Abuela that Mirabel had to embrace, because when they hug each other because of their newfound love for each other, a lot of butterflies show up. Now, allow me to explain something about the butterflies, because when they show up, Dos Oruguitas plays again. Here's what here, for the sake of translating into English, here's what Dos Oruguitas is about. Two little caterpillars in love. They spend their nights in the early mornings full of hunger. They keep walking, navigating a world. Oh, caterpillars, it's time to change. It's time to construct your own future. Miracles are coming. Chrysalises are coming, as in chrysalis, becoming butterflies. And then later, when both Abuela and Mirabel hug each other, the final chorus comes in, which says "Oh mariposas," which means butterflies in Spanish. Don't hold on to each other more. You have to grow apart and come back. That's the way forward. So basically, the butterfly, like Jova foreshadowed earlier, the butterflies are symbolic of the Madrigal family's love. So yeah, the reason, and as you're going to see later, this of course is what makes the magic return. Just like Pedro's act of true love brought on the miracle, the Mirabel's act of love, by being incredibly empathetic to Abuela, is what also brings the butterflies back, as in the miracle, the magic, if you prefer. And then, right after this incredibly touching moment, Bruno shows up in a horse.
And he says, a horse?
On a horse, sorry.
On a horse.
On a horse. And as he says pretty well, it was me. I gave her a vision. Look, she was just trying to help. I don't care what you think of me. But if you're too stubborn to, and then Abuela hugs him strongly, saying, and I quote, Brunito. I feel like I missed something important. Yeah, you did, Bruno.
He spent too much time rehearsing instead of getting there.
But like I mentioned, after this, the plot is more or less finished.
That being said, we still have to rebuild our house. Well, there is one more thing to resolve, I will argue, but we'll get to it. We get back to the ruins of the house, and we decide to rebuild it. And we start another great song, All of You, which is the final song of the movie, where, of course, Mirabel talks to all the entire family and makes them realize that they're more than just their gift. Abuela apologizes to the entire family for being having too much of an iron fist. And she even brings Bruno back, and of course, Peppa and Julieta hug him with all strength because they've missed their brothers so much. And by the way, John Leguizamo can sing, so that's nice to know.
I feel like I've seen him sing in something else, but I can't remember.
Yes. And another detail that I love is the village. The village comes on and decides to help them rebuild their house for them because, as they put it, we may not have any gifts, but we are many. So yeah, all the good stuff that the Madrigals have done for this village throughout the years, now it's the time for the villagers to figure out anything to be able to repay them back. I also love this particular bit when the three sisters are now much more bonded together, where Louise even says, "Yeah, you're so strong. Yeah, but sometimes I cry." And then both Mirabel and Isabella hug her by saying, "So do I." The entire family is now much happier because now that they're no longer trying to be perfect and be defined by exclusively their gift, now they can just be themselves and just talk openly to each other. In the meantime, we get to build a new room for Bruno, so that's nice. And then, of course, it's time for the final moment of the movie, where the entire family basically redeems themselves by giving Mirabel one particular ceremony. Oh, yeah, and by the way, Mariano now is a bit miffed because, well, Isabella never actually wanted to marry him. She was just doing it for the family, but she doesn't actually love him. Fortunately, Dolores happens to love him, as was foreshadowed earlier during one of the songs, where she says that she has an unrequited love, and it turns out to be Mariano. And Mariano has so much love inside, as he puts it. So yeah, okay. I guess we'll hook up. Why not?
Yeah.
And then we also have one of my favorite bit of the song. Where both Abuela and Mirabel are looking at the finished house and they say, "Home sweet home, I like the new foundation. It isn't perfect. Well, Abuela, neither are we." That's true. However, there's one more thing, one final thing missing. The entire family made a doorknob just for Mirabel, with the letter M and everything. So yeah, Mirabel now finally gets to have a door, specifically Casita's door. So there you go. Mirabel gets the main door, the main entrance. And as they say in the lyrics, we see how bright you burn, we see how brave you've been, and Bruno says, "You're the real gift, kid. Let us in." So yeah, the entire family basically prepares this entire thing to basically redeem themselves and thank Mirabel for everything she's done for them, which basically demonstrates what is Mirabel's gift. Mirabel's gift is the gift of empathy, and that's why that Casita never gave her a gift. She doesn't need one; she already has it.
Again, I do feel it was kind of cruel of Casita to not at least give her own room. Like, okay, I'm going to show the family that they need to appreciate you by burning down the door right in front of them and leaving them to think that you are worthless for years on end. But don't worry, it'll eventually come out to this. It'll even involve my dramatic death, but I'm actually going to end up coming back alive as soon as you put the knob in my door. Like, I mean, to be fair, great masterful plan, Casita, but damn.
To be fair, how would Casita verbally explain this to them?
All the same, I like to imagine that Casita planned that down right to the last notch, including the Casita's death for a bit.
Here's my favorite memes that come out of this. There you go.
Oh.
But yeah, honestly, okay, I'll say this. I am so happy that they didn't go with the easy thing of giving. Turns out Mirabel actually did have a superpower gift. She was just a very late bloomer. Not saying that kind of plot can't work, like, that worked out in Sky High, but nah, here, I feel like that might have been a little bit cheap if they just given her
It's not
powers.
that she was a late bloomer. She already had the gift to begin with.
Not just that, it's also the fact that her gift is not some kind of magic gift. It's just something that is completely inherent to her personality. Is a great demonstration of how someone is only defined by who they are, not by whatever skills they have. That's exactly what the entire family learned from Mirabelle. Mirabelle is incredibly special by just being who she is, and the entire family realizes, as the song puts it, you are more than just your gift. You're not defined by what you can do. You're defined by who you are. So yeah, and that's why Mirabelle never got a gift, because she doesn't need one. She is special just the way she is.
If only Casita could have put it in a way that was less soul-crushing than, cindering down her room from her.
You see, if Dash from The Incredibles was here...
Think of it like this.
That's just a way of saying you're not special.
Think of it like this. Mirabelle is basically the family psychologist, basically. Because let's think about this throughout the entire film. What has Mirabelle been doing throughout the entire movie?
Helping everybody.
She first talks to Antonio and helps him gain the courage to get his gift. She also helps Luisa with her, feeling of pressure. She helps Isabella come out of her shell. She helps Abuela finally realize that she's been doing things the wrong way. That's what Mirabelle is doing. She's basically the family psychologist. Basically.
This is actually why I feel that there's a bit of missed potential there. Like, I would have liked to see how she also would have helped, like, Dolores and Camilo as well with their particular things. Like, well, whatever their pressures were. Like, again, I'll admit, I did see this nice little bit that somebody in the internet mentioned that an interesting idea with Camilo could have been about the boy having to deal with the fact that he's a shapeshifter, in the sense that he doesn't even know if his original form is truly his own self, or, that kind of poetry stuff here and there.
It's two things. One, Camilo and Dolores clearly were not unhappy. At least not that the movie shows us. Apparently Dolores and Camilo were doing things just perfectly fine with no issues, apparently.
Except
at
for
least not
Dolores' love interest. Like, because she was...
Well, yeah, but aside from that, she doesn't seem like she had some kind of personal demons aside from that.
Well, counter-argument, though, it seemed like none of the members had anything bad going with them on the surface at the start of it.
Oh, sure.
Well, maybe Camilo was suffering with that. I mean, granted, for the sake of the movie, you can say that. It's just, again, how I feel like it is a missed opportunity. Like, I do feel like they could have added more in the movie. Again, not saying that drags the movie down. It's just more a case of how it could have been even better.
I will argue it's more so the fact that they wanted to focus on just a handful of members of the family, like I said, because they probably wouldn't have time to just go through the entire family member by member, so they wanted to keep focus on the story so that the movie wouldn't drag. So I can understand the decision to not go for every individual member of the family.
I don't mean like every individual. I'm just saying like, well, Camilo was really a missed opportunity.
I guess, but I'm not too bothered by it personally. Yeah, and that's how the movie ends. The family finally takes a picture, this time with Mirabelle at the center. In fact, the door, the new door of Casita actually has Mirabelle right next to Abuela in front of everybody, which kind of implies that when Abuela departs, maybe Mirabelle could be the new matriarch. I mean, she's the most qualified person, clearly. So, yeah. And that's Encanto. Absolutely wonderful. All right, what's next, Edge?
Like Silver Screen Conference, I guess we do. Who's your favorite? Honestly, since there's no bad character in this movie, let's just do. What's your favorite?
My favorite character? It's a tie between Mirabelle and Abuela.
Of course, you choose your wife.
That's some bias right there.
To be look. You expected me to do it, so I had to go.
Look, Deji, give me some credit. See, see, my wife asked me for help, and I sent her a Mirabelle. I know what I'm doing, Dej. Come on.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, Deji, your favorite character? Then?
Let Jova go first.
Go on, Jova.
I'd say it would be... Yeah, screw it, I'll go with Luisa. She's just a ton of fun.
Sure.
I would have said maybe Peppa or Camilo, but Camilo didn't get enough screen time for him to leave as much of an impact, sadly. And Peppa, close second.
Peppa's funny.
For me, it's a tie between Luisa and Dolores.
Oh, interesting.
For me, it's a tie between Mirabelle and Bruno, with Dolores being a close second.
Oh, right. Okay, actually, yeah, for me it's a tie with Luisa and Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno's also a great character. But, excuse me. Yeah, that's it. Favorite character then.
Yeah. All right. So since we're not doing worst character, it's time for a news segment.
Oh, okay.
Favorite song.
Favorite song.
For me, it's a tie between Surface Pressure and I keep forgetting the name of the last song.
All of you.
All of You.
Stop stealing my answers.
Oh my god, am I reading your mind? Or am I just always 2 steps ahead of you?
Or did I doze off and accidentally say something in my sleep?
No.
No.
Oh, thank God. Oh, God.
Jova's infiltrated your brain space, which sounds terrifying.
But Shuri, that's better than the idea that he talks in his sleep.
Is it, though? But anyway.
Yeah, those are my favorite songs.
Pedro.
Okay, simple. Tus oruguitas enamoradas pasan sus noches y madrugadas. Yeah, Dos Oruguitas, aka 2 Caterpillars, if you want to say it in English.
Interesting that they went the
song, right?
It's interesting that they went the extra mile and had some of these songs completely in Spanish, just, they do provide English subtitles if you choose them, so that is nice.
It is funny that that's the song that Disney is apparently pushing for Oscar.
Well, I definitely. Dos Oruguitas is just wonderful because of. I love the story. It tells the story of 2 caterpillars. Basically, if you go back and read the English lyrics, if you want to, it tells the story of 2 caterpillars who are in love, but they eventually must grow apart and build their own future. Eventually, they must go for chrysalis and become butterflies. So basically, it's one of those. Lynn basically wrote this as if it was like one of those old-fashioned fairy tales. One of those simple fairy tales that have a very basic but very elegant moral to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we don't talk about Bruno as the most popular song. Apparently, it's #1 right now on Spotify.
Mm-hmm. Talk about Bruno.
It seems to be a running thing with Disney where the song that, they aim to be the most popular one ends up getting upstaged by another song.
Well, what did they do with
Frozen?
Were they trying to push something else other than Let It Go?
Yes, and also with Lion King when Hakuna Matata ended up being more popular than Be Prepared.
Well, wasn't Circle of Life the one that they were pushing?
True, yeah, but again, Hakuna Matata surpassed both. Okay, here's the thing. Circle of Life was the one that they were pushing. Be Prepared was, considered the fan favorite. But the one that ended up becoming the most popular overall was Hakuna Matata, weirdly enough.
Sure.
So it's kind of like a weird freeway kind of thing.
All right. So, okay, so Shiro, your favorite song?
The family introduction song.
Family Madrigal.
Nice.
Surface Pressure as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Surface Pressure and Family Madrigal as well. Look, every song in this movie is good. I am also surprised that we didn't say we don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, look. For me, the top 3 are definitely Family Madrigal, Surface Pressure, and You All Are Here.
All of you.
All of you. Yeah, those are definitely my 3 top favorites of this movie. They're all good, but I could definitely divide them into tiers.
We're also not basic.
Here, Joe. Let me help you. In the final lyric, where they go, open your eyes, abre los ojos. What do you see? And she says, me. I see me, all of me. And Shiro, when she first saw it, she made the I am all of me joke. So there you go. Think of it like this. It's the I am all of me.
It had to be done.
How dare you?
Of course it did.
Get out.
No.
Okay.
All right, so next, Edge.
Favorite scene?
Favorite scene. For me, the flashback, because I actually really appreciate what they do by. Again, I'm obviously not being Colombian. I'm not in the best place to talk about, but I have looked into it since I saw the movie. And yeah, it was quite bold of Disney to incorporate real Colombian history and provide us a good demonstration. Because from what I've even read someone who said that when you get right down to it, this movie also speaks to the spirit of survival that Colombians have by surviving all of this stuff that's still going on to this day in Colombia. So. It was a great way to. It was a great testament to all the survivors who survived all this violence. So, I thought it was a really cool thing for them to do. And again, I've seen a lot of Colombians praise that scene specifically for it because it's a great positive, a positive thing to do for them. So really cool.
I will admit I didn't know what exactly they were referencing with that until you told me. And don't get me wrong, that's all. Again. But that's not really a fault of the movie. For me, it was just like, oh, they lost their family. And that is still a major event. However, now knowing that it is based off of a historical event is very interesting. And hey, the easy explanation for why this stuff was never recorded about the magic and whatnot, it's in a secluded land that literally conjured mountains to keep them secluded, so. Yeah, that's what makes it. That's what adds an extra layer of greatness to the movie, in my opinion. This is not a story that just happens to take place in Colombia, but a true Colombian story, where the setting and the story are inseparable from each other. In the same way that Luca is not, it couldn't have been told in any other setting that would not be Italy, basically. All right, carry on. That's it. That's my favorite scene. Edge.
Next.
Favorite scene. I guess my favorite scene was when Mirabelle was actually first found Bruno and was chasing after him. She finally catches up to him, but she's about to fall to what appears to be her doom. Bruno catches her, but then ends up falling. She catches him, but then the rat scares her, and then she drops him, and then she thinks that she's killed her uncle. Only to reveal that it was not really that high a drop. Oops. Yeah, love that bit. Honestly, the introduction to Bruno all in general is probably my favorite scene, because, Bruno really did steal the show when he finally does properly enter the picture.
Alright. Shira? Favorite scene?
The scene where Mirabelle tells Abuela what she needed to hear.
Oh, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's favorite part of the movie. It needed to happen. It needed to happen for a long time. You don't do that to your children because this happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
You got something to say there, sure?
No.
Deji, when I first showed this movie to Deji, Deji asked me about what do you think? Do you think maybe they shouldn't have gotten their powers back? And I feel like it's not the idea. The idea is that the powers are just a physical manifestation of their love for each other. The reason they lost the miracle is because they weren't functioning properly as a family. Now that they are, the magic returns. Specifically, Mirabelle's act of love by showing Abuela the error of her ways.
What do you think?
In the same way that Pedro sacrifice for the love of his family brought the miracle in the first place.
What do you think, Dej and Shiroi? Do you think that they should have maybe have stayed the film with the family having their powers lost, but having gained more family attachment, as well as the town realizing, hey, for as much as we rely on you, how about we maybe learn to rely on ourselves a bit and help you in your time of need?
You want to go first?
Could you repeat that, Joba? Sorry. bit confused.
Okay, basically, do you guys feel like that the family should have, stayed without their powers getting back, but having gained more of a family attachment, as well as the town learning to acknowledge and appreciate the family, even without having all their powers to rely on them?
I'm fine either way, honestly.
For me, it was kind of like okay, I mean, I wasn't necessarily disappointed. Like, okay, it didn't feel like a needlessly sappy, happy ending that was just happy for the sake of it. I'll admit, though, I was kind of thinking that they would just have to learn to work without their powers. I mean, it's not bad that they have them back, and, we could do more with them, essentially, but...
Like I said, sorry.
It's more kind of a passing thought of what could have been as opposed to utter disappointment.
Like I said, if you think about it, technically it wouldn't have made sense from the rest of the narrative for them to lose their powers, because their powers are, the movie clearly shows their powers to be a physical manifestation of their love and good function as a family. And it's when they stop functioning well as a family that the magic goes away. So technically the magic returning at the end is a physical demonstration that now everything is okay with the family.
Yeah, so I was like, initially I was like, But then I was like, their powers isn't what defines them. And it's like, it doesn't really matter if they still have their powers, because they're gotten closer and they're still going to use their powers for good and whatnot. So it's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. It's not, okay. Not to annoy Pedro, but it's not like how I felt like with Raya and the Last Dragon, and they brought Aquafina's character back to life. I was like, God damn it.
Like, okay. I think what Dedge means is, like, well, in this case, this CEO's well-earned enough, and not just about we just gotta bring it back for the sake of them being back, and, like, you know. I guess, okay, I will say, okay, how do you feel about Casita coming back to life as well?
Yeah, how else are you supposed to make a Disney attraction of it?
Not just that,
oh God,
like
they're
I said.
totally gonna make a Disney World ride of that, aren't they?
They better.
Not just that, because remember, like when they first built the original Casita, they already had that magic with them, so that magic just became imbued in the house. So since they now have their magic back and they build a house, obviously the same thing happens again. So again, technically this should happen to make the story coherent, because if it didn't, then there would be a contradiction. Wait, why does it work before but not now? So technically the movie is just remaining consistent with its own logic by doing this. When you get right down to it, basically.
Okay, so editor's note, I just realized that I didn't get the chance to say what my favorite scene is, so I'll just go ahead and say it here. It was when Maribel and Isabel finally settled their differences. There was so much animosity between them, and when they finally talked and understood each other, Isabel was finally happy to see the person... Isabel was finally happy to be the person she wanted to be, and not what everybody else wanted her to. Yeah, that's it. Alright, bye.
That's it, basically.
Alright, so next subject then, Dedge? Or are we ready to wrap things up?
I will say, though, before we move on to the next thing, well, Dedge is just a little brief aside. Well, remember, Dedge, Sisu is the water dragon, so technically bringing back the water does make sense to bring her back as well.
Yeah,
but let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dedge has his reasons, which we can
It's one of
mention
those, it's a bit, I wish that one was a bittersweet victory, because...
Sure.
Yeah.
I
haven't seen Raya the Last Dragon. I've heard things about it.
No, it's pretty good. It's not as good as Encanto. It's not as good as Encanto, obviously, but it's pretty good for what it is. Again,
it's a good movie. I just wish that it was... What's the way I can put this?
Let me put it like this. It's good.
No. Hey, I'm speaking. I wish that it was a TV show instead of a movie, so it could help its pacing better.
Okay.
Sure.
So, next subject.
Go on. Next subject, Edge.
I don't know what else to pad this on, but let's go with final thoughts. Sure, you go first.
All right. This was a very good movie. Really enjoyed it. I guess my only issue would be that I feel like this is kind of adjacent to one of Jova's points, where I feel like we should have spent more time with some of the siblings. I do agree with that, at least for the ones that got songs, because there's some significant focus there. And also the little brother as well, since he seems to be very close to Mirabelle of all of them. So it would have actually been nice to see those two interact. I forget his name, I'm sorry.
Antonio.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that would have been nice, but that's it as far as interactions go. Like, it doesn't really matter so much about the rest. I feel like we saw enough of Mirabelle's parents. The songs are all great. The movie is very beautiful and vibrant. I like the antagonist, quote unquote. Like the idea for the antagonist, anyway. Not so much the antagonist herself. It was nice. It was different. It's
Sure, allow me to help you. It's like the creator of Dragon Prince always says: don't make your characters likable, make them complex. Abuela works because she's a flawed human being, but understandable.
Yes.
As a human being as well.
And I don't have to like her. See, we can compromise in this world.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think that's about it for what I have to say. This, fantastic movie.
Awesome. Next person? Who?
Jova.
Pedro?
No,
whatever, I'll go.
Jova. I actually want Pedro to go last since he's the most passionate of us.
Fair enough.
Alright, go on then.
Encanto was a very stunning movie, visually, musically, and lyrically. I do feel like it could have had more time added on so that we could bolster some elements here. Like, I'm gonna put it like this. It's a good, even great movie, but it doesn't feel amazing. Mind you, like I said before, it doesn't need to be amazing. And sometimes it does help us appreciate the even more amazing when we have stuff that's just good. And mind you, what Encanto sets out to do, it does still excel at. There are some things I do wish could have been a bit more here. Like, I do wish we could have had more interactions with some of the family. I do wish we could have gotten to see into more of the potential issues that some family members may have had as well, given what the movie suggests here and there. And I will get how some people may see the mystery and the revelation as kind of easily solvable, if not kind of already more or less given to you, minus a few details in the end here and there. However, what we still have is a spectacular cultural piece here that has a good story here. Like, it's not just an excuse for cultural heritage. Like, no, there's still a good and strong enough plot attached to it. And I cannot stress enough how great it is here and there, and how much it gets right. And the character arcing is very well done. I will, that said, my only other issue is that I do feel like the ending is a bit weird and lopsided, in the sense where as soon as they hug, stuff is more or less solved, right down to people getting their powers back. Hell, even the girl gets set up with Isabella's old fiance here and there, which, okay, you know what, fair enough, that's more comedic. To be fair, that bit's more comedic, so I'm not as hard on that. It's just that it feels like everything just got suddenly solved right there and there.
Well, if you'll allow me, Jova, that is what Bruno predicted. The secret to saving the miracle was for Mirabelle to embrace someone. It just wasn't Isabella, it was Abuela.
I think what I would have liked to have seen after that is a scene of, maybe not have some big action set piece towards it, but maybe have some scene where it is Abuela legit having to work things out with the family altogether. Now, granted, the ending is still satisfying, but I just wish that there had been more to it overall. Who knows, maybe it's about the movie being so good that I do want more, but I guess my main critique could pretty much be summed up as we could have added more to it to strengthen it even more. That said, what we still do have is a great and excellent movie, and I do definitely recommend it for watching. Next, Dej.
Encanto is basically, what if that Inhumans TV show that Disney was pushing wasn't shit?
Actually, Dad, I'm surprised that you didn't do the obvious X-Men joke that most people do, honestly, with this movie.
Considering that the Inhumans are basically trying to be pushed as the next X-Men, I feel like this is appropriate.
And hey, nobody really brings up the Inhumans anymore now that the X-Men are pretty much back in the public eye of Disney.
Yeah.
Maybe it's almost like, the Inhumans weren't really that good to begin with when it came to replacing the X-Men.
I'm down with them bringing them back, except just make them good this time.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It's just that, those years really stung. But look, now it's not the time or place, so your final thoughts.
I love this movie. It's so good. It makes me smile because, wow, every character is so much fun, full of life. Every song is just a bop, like I said earlier. I don't know how they did it.
That's why I said it. That's why I said that it's a great Disney classic, because that's exactly what the best Disney movies do.
Because I really don't have much to complain about, and even when I do, they come off as extremely nitpicky. Oh no, I'm a Disney shill.
No, you're not. Just because you say one of their movies is great doesn't make you a shill.
But it's like they've raised the bar too high, and they have to go higher.
Well, okay. Considering, I will argue. I mean, remember, both this and Raya are Jennifer Lee's first two movies as released as the new creative head of Disney Animation specifically. So, and this is a great start, I will argue.
All right, well, I'm invested to see what she can do now.
Oh no, definitely. Anything next that the Byron Howard and Jerry Bush have for us, that's gonna be great, I'm sure, because these guys are basically the new wonder duo of the studio. Clearly, next up, we don't know what's next. Right now, they're focusing more on making a new Baymax TV show as well as Tiana show. So right now, in the near future, their focus is gonna be more Disney Plus shows rather than movies. Ooh. So we'll have to see how that goes.
I do have hopes for the Tiana show.
Same. I have hopes for all of them. I'm looking forward to the Baymax series, because Don Hall, the creator of the Big Hero 6 movie, is the one in charge of the show. So
was he in charge of the Big Hero 6 cartoon as well?
No, the Big Hero 6 TV series was made by Disney Animation Studios. Disney's TV Animation Studios. Sorry, the same guys who also made DuckTales and the Tangled series. Yeah. But unlike the Big Hero 6 TV series, Don Hall himself is going to be in charge of the Baymax TV series. So this is going to be straight from the same guy who made the movie. So it's going to have be interesting to see how it goes. I did
like that show, so I was like, all right.
Oh no, Don Hall is also one of my favorite the new Disney directors. He directed Big Hero 6. He also was one of the big minds of Winnie the Pooh 2011, Meet the Robinsons, and now Raya the Last Dragon. So,
God, it is funny that you mentioned Meet the Robinsons, because this movie does give me Meet the Robinsons vibes.
Fun fact, Big Hero 6 was actually his big passion project, because he's a big Marvel fan, and so when the opportunity came to make Big Hero 6 the movie, he immediately said, I want to make it. So Big Hero 6 was basically his big, which now we've paid the Baymax TV series, he's actually returning to his passion project, so I'm looking forward to it.
Dad, it's funny you mentioned this giving you certain vibes. If anything, this should give you Coco vibes. Because, let's see, it's a movie about a Hispanic family, one with a matriarch grandmother, or great-grandmother in Coco's case, but still, though, grandmother circling around that. One member gets ostracized from the family because of this certain element here and there. The movie circles around the historical hierarchy of that family, and it ends with protagonist getting back with said family, essentially. Although, I should mention also that a lot of work did go into this, and when you think about it... Hey, Pedro, did you know this?
Go on.
Apparently for the making of this movie, the team were only able to make one trip to Colombia, where they found the perfect location, due to... COVID. So basically, they created and relied on the Columbia Cultural Trust. They had people give presentations illustrating the realities of traditional Colombian culture in minute detail, and their goal was to create an experience of complete immersion. And I would say that they succeeded. So essentially, they managed to make one of the most culturally rich and accurate movies without even really getting to, well, send the whole team to Colombia.
It also helps that this movie took place in one genuine general location.
Well, that's the thing. They did go to Colombia once, like you said, but yeah, they couldn't make as much of a big research trip as they wanted. Clearly,
not only that, again, they weren't even able to send the whole team. Like normally, whenever a studio does this, they usually try to send the whole team for a particular film.
Yeah.
At least you know that, but they weren't even able to do that, so they had to send a select few there. And
from what I've read, apparently the river where Pedro sacrificed himself, and as well where Abuela and Mirabel hug, that's apparently a real river that actually exists. So I'm guessing they saw that river and they thought this would be a perfect place to have those scenes in.
Like, I'll say this, Disney can be iffy about a lot of things, but I am glad that their animation teams have really been stepping it up ever since
a certain horrible person left.
Oh, you can say his name. This channel's talked about worse.
John Lasseter.
And you've interviewed worse too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to, like, both Pete Docter and Jennifer Lee have managed to raise the two studios back up. So
yeah,
looking forward to see what else they bring in.
But anyway, go on, Pedro. The floor is yours.
All right. Encanto is absolutely wonderful. It does, like I said before, it does exactly what the great Disney classics do. It leaves you smiling all the way through. It gives you songs that make you bop your head all the way through, and it gives you fantastic characters with a wonderful story. I love the fact that it's just a purely character-driven story, entirely specific on this family that needs to work better. It's literally just this family who needs to be better in all fronts, especially Abuela. And again, I absolutely appreciate the fact that the movie is also bold enough to showcase the violence that Colombia still unfortunately goes through, and use it in a way that serves as a great testament to all the survivors of Colombian violence. So so I really appreciate the boldness of the movie. And again, the movie is just so beautiful to look at. The songs are wonderful. The story is expertly told. The characters are absolutely charming. Everything about it just works for me. And again, I was very looking forward to this because I'm a big fan of Byron Howard. For those who don't know, Byron Howard, aside from co-directing this movie in Zootopia with Jared Bush, he was also one of the directors of Tangled. So this guy knows his stuff, and I'm looking forward to see what else he comes up with, both him and Jared Bush. So yeah, fantastic movie. To me, it's one of the all-time great Disney classics because, like I said to Deji, like that's all that stuff that it does to Deji. Yeah, that's what the great Disney movies do. So yeah. And again, I really appreciate the themes. It covers all of its themes. Like, not everyone is. People might be worse than you think they are. The fact that the problem of toxicity in the way you treat your family members, everything about it is just handled very well and very expertly. Again, it's a story that perfectly embraces its Colombian heritage, but at the same time being perfectly universal to anybody. So yeah, not to mention Mirabel is one of the all-time great Disney heroines, because not only is she a fantastic character, whoever designed her character should be given a raise because she's just adorable. You know that joke in movies where there's these old ladies who find this little boy very cute and they want to pinch his cheeks?
Yes.
That's basically how I feel when I look at Mirabel. I want to pinch her cheeks.
All right,
I want the Mirabel plushie.
So Pedro, this brings up one big question though. Since Mirabel's character is that she doesn't need a special ability, how would this world work in Kingdom Hearts then?
Mini games.
Probably. I don't see this working as a proper full-blown world. Not really. The setting and the overall style of the movie doesn't really adhere to it.
Really?
At best, this could only. At best, I can only see this working as a minigame world in the house. Maybe I don't really see this as a full-blown world with bosses. Not really. I don't.
I mean,
at least.
it's literally.
I got it. You fight Abuela, who's been corrupted by the darkness, not out of malicious, but because of worrying, and she's become worse.
Mm-hmm.
There. And then
you
just see Maribel just enjoying it more than she should.
Okay.
It's like,
okay, Dej. Okay, that gives us a final.
Well, Dej, it's all that catharsis factor.
Pedro, I'm just joking. Of course, she has no malicious. No.
That's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that okay, that fixes it for the final boss. But what about the rest of it? Like, there's not that much place to explore in the world, unless of course you go out of the house. But
no, you go inside the house. You explore everybody's rooms.
There is that.
I guess.
And also, if a Kingdom Hearts world takes place after it, now that apparently the mountain is split, there is actually a way to and from the village from the outside.
I guess. I mean, I think Raya and the Last Dragon is a much better candidate for a Disney World. Literally. Oh, dude,
that's perfect. And it's like I don't know if that's going to be in Kingdom Hearts 4, considering what they're planning on doing, but a future game.
I'm pretty confident Nomura has put it on his list for because literally all you have to do with Raya is replace the Droog with Heartless, and there you go. That's literally the only change you need to do. All right, carry on.
I had fun with this, despite my dozing off earlier, but my bad. I don't know what movie's coming up next for us to do a podcast, considering Morbius got delayed.
Well, Deji, there's always Matrix Resurrections.
Oh, I know we're doing that, but I'm just saying movies that's coming out this year, because it's like
that's here.
If we'll even be able to see them.
Like, Sonic's is in April, but it's like, I don't know.
Wow, wait. So you were honestly banking on Morbius to be our January podcast movie talk?
If anyone else was going to see it, that was gonna be that guy. I don't care.
Look.
I was just waiting for it to go digital.
Morbius is becoming Sony's New Mutants at this point. It is.
I'm not kidding you. I saw that trailer and I'm so like, oh my god, this is such a bad trailer because it doesn't explain anything about what Morbius is. See, here's the thing. People like me and Jova, we know who Morbius is because we've read the stuff. But take this from the perspective of someone who hasn't read the material. That trailer doesn't explain a goddamn thing why the hell you should care about this character.
And that's not even mentioning how confusing it is with what world or time it's in, given the fact that, well, certain people are in it here and there, and, well, oh boy, look, I'm sure we'll be able to recap this all when that movie eventually comes out in the year 2099.
All right.
It's like, what's the next major movie coming out?
Shoot,
is it the Batman.
I think it's
Batman in March.
Wait, is that coming in March?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to that one at least.
I'll just say this though: Morbius has got something else since it's going to be going up against some competition.
Yeah, just Sonic. So it's like, well, Sonic beat Birds of Prey. Now he's gonna beat a Spider-Man related thing.
When does Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness comes out?
Oh my! Wait, is that February?
Is it? I don't think it's February, but I know it's this year. I just don't know when.
Let me see. Doctor Strange 2.
Oh, it's May.
Oh, May.
All right, so
that's earlier than I thought it would be.
That's what I'm looking forward to, definitely. So there's that.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting year. Consider hopefully nothing gets delayed due to real life circumstances.
Although I'm gonna be honest, while COVID is a thing, I get the feeling that there's more than just that's delaying Morbius.
Oh no, it's because No Way Home was making so much bank, so it's like they want to spread that out till January.
Some people are actually thinking that they're going to inject some new scenes into Morbius to tie it into No Way Home.
Alright, shall we end it here then?
Yeah, might as well.
Yes.
Thank you for listening, viewers, and guys, thank you for, as always, for having being in this channel. So especially since, the others haven't been here for a while. I wonder why.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Next time we'll be able to have some fun dissecting one of 2021's biggest disasters. So that should be fun.
Yeah, Joey, you're editing that one. Alright, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
See ya.
everyone.
So yeah.